Hello HFS volunteers, it's me Maggie, your favorite volunteer coordinator, and I'd like to talk to you today about service enterprise. It is a term you've probably heard us talk about or seen in a newsletter or an email, but it probably hasn't had a whole lot of meaning for you. So this is a presentation I created to give you a little bit better understanding of what service enterprise is and how it's going to affect you as a volunteer. We did this presentation a few weeks ago for a small group of volunteers, but not too many were able to attend, so I thought this would be an easy way to get the information out to you by doing a video. So enjoy!
Okay, so Hastings Family Service really began our service enterprise journey when we started doing our strategic plan. Through that process, we really realized that our staff was at capacity for what they could do, and so we really needed to learn to work with volunteers smarter, better, and at a higher level so we could continue to maintain a high level of services and even possibly expand our services. So really for us, service enterprise is really about maximizing volunteer potential. So I just wanted to show you guys really quick our strategic priorities. I know this is probably a little bit hard to read in this format, but I just want to draw your attention to the bottom where it says Enhance Volunteer Services. And it is purposely put on the bottom, holding up everything else in our strategic plan, because that is how important volunteers are to everything we do here at Hastings Family Service. So it's a priority for us to enhance our volunteer program. And that means develop comprehensive volunteer systems, diversify our volunteer opportunities, and enrich the volunteer experience. So we had already set that priority when the service enterprise opportunity came along. So what exactly is service enterprise? It is an initiative through the Points of Light Foundation, and basically it's a certification that we can get for our organization to be considered a service enterprise. And organizations that operate as a service enterprise leverage volunteers and their skills across all levels of the organization to further their social mission. So we had to apply to be a part of this, and now we're going to have to be certified to get this, meet certain criteria. Locally, we've worked closely with the Minnesota Association for Volunteer Administration, known as MAVA, as well as Hands-On Twin Cities. We participated in about 4 training sessions, have had some consulting with them, have created an action plan, evaluated our current volunteer program, and now are moving forward with becoming a service enterprise. So through research, Points of Light has identified 10 characteristics of organizations that operate as a service enterprise. And those are planning and development, leadership support, resource allocation, tracking and evaluation, outreach, funding, effective training, onboarding and supervision, technology and communications, and partnering to extend reach. So moving forward with our action plan, everything will kind of fit into one of these characteristics so we can get that service enterprise certification and mostly benefit our volunteer program. So one of the first things that we had to do was create kind of a vision of what service enterprise looks like at Hastings Family Service. So what we said was that we believe that volunteers bring unique skills and diverse perspectives that are vital to the success of our mission. So we are striving to create a volunteer-first approach to our program where volunteers have a common understanding of our mission and values, participate through diverse mission-focused opportunities, are valued for unique talents and they are utilized appropriately, are trained, supported, and evaluated in their work, and are empowered to be advocates for HFS. So that sounds nice, looks good on this PowerPoint here, but what does that actually mean for HFS and day-to-day operations? So I want you to meet Henry. Henry is a new volunteer, say 2 years from now. We are certified as a service enterprise and we are ready to go. So he has applied online, met with me, and through our discussions and with that, his interests, his skills, his time that he's willing to commit is best suited for the food shelf. So Henry is going to go through a kind of a comprehensive training program. First thing, he's going to have an orientation. This is a one-on-one meeting. He will just kind of get some of the basics of HFS, be presented with a comprehensive volunteer handbook that does have some policies and procedures, but also kind of gives a well-rounded view of Hastings Family Service. Henry might also have the opportunity to do some online trainings about Hastings Family Service. And these might be videos like this one that he could watch at home on his own time. And there would be things that apply to all volunteers no matter what program. If they're in the food shelf, Meals on Wheels, Just Friends, Rivertown Treasures. So they might be things like confidentiality, our values. Might also be, if they're working in the building, things about our panic system and safety. From there, Henry is going to have kind of a 4-part training process. First, he's going to meet with his staff support system. In this case, it's a Mary as a food shelf volunteer. So Mary is really going to share her vision for the food shelf and some of the kind of philosophical things about the market, and really establish that relationship with that volunteer so that Henry knows that Mary is a person he can turn to if he has questions or concerns about the market. From there, Henry is going to have some peer-to-peer training, and these are going to be the things that are the day-to-day operations of the food shelf, what a volunteer needs to know. Now, this already happens at HFS to a certain extent, but it's not very formalized. Our lead volunteers or trainers don't really know that we've given them that title. They haven't been given any instructions or a list of what they're supposed to tell a new volunteer. So depending on who a volunteer is trained by, they're not necessarily getting the same information. So we really need to create a more comprehensive and consistent system for our peer-to-peer training. So after that, 30 days after Henry has started volunteering, he'll have an opportunity to provide feedback on his experience so far and evaluate whether the food shelf is the right place for him to volunteer. Maybe he'll decide he doesn't like it in the food shelf, he'd like to try something different, maybe go over to Meals on Wheels. And then Henry will also have an opportunity to provide feedback on an annual basis. You guys already experienced that with the volunteer satisfaction survey we did, and we will be doing that annually as one way for volunteers to provide feedback to us on our program and how we're doing. And then as Henry continues to volunteer, he will receive messaging and training on our mission, our values, and the importance of volunteers to our program through his work in the food shelf. Okay, so now Henry is all-star Hastings Family Service volunteer. He walks the walk, talks the talk, but now he wants to get other people involved. So he'd like to involve his professional group through group volunteer opportunities, something we currently have a really hard time accommodating. So this is one way we want to diversify our volunteer opportunities, is being able to accommodate more groups. He also would like to involve his children through youth and family volunteer opportunities. Again, right now we have a really hard time involving youth in our program, so this is something we're working on expanding opportunities for. And then Henry also wants to involve his mother-in-law here. Perhaps she is a retired human resources director, and through this skill-based volunteer opportunity, she's going to help Chris and our board of directors rewrite job descriptions for our staff. This is an opportunity of a skill-based volunteer opportunity. You may have already seen some of these advertised. looking for someone to list things on eBay for our store is one skill-based opportunity we've advertised for and actually filled at this point. We've already started this as a way to diversify our volunteer opportunities. Okay, so Henry is a donor, regular donor, but he'd like to take advantage of some special sponsorship opportunities. So currently there are things that volunteers would like, such as training opportunities like de-escalation training, and unfortunately it's just not always in the budget for us to provide. But perhaps Henry, or maybe his business, or a friend, or just a regular donor who's not a volunteer might be willing to sponsor that de-escalation training because they see the value and the importance of that. Henry might also have the opportunity to sponsor a recognition event for our volunteers. Or again, that doesn't necessarily have to be a volunteer, it could be a regular donor, a business, just creating more opportunities for sponsorship, these things that our volunteers would like that just don't always make our budget. So how do we get there? We're really lucky is that we started strong. What I think we found out through the service enterprise process is that we have a great volunteer program and a fantastic group of volunteers. We went through this process and with major players in the nonprofit world, Lutheran Social Services, YMCA of the Twin Cities, and in some ways we were light years ahead of them as far as managing and working with volunteers. So we started strong, so that is the good news. So really within the next 6 months, when we hope to be certified by, we need to build on what we already do. And that means formalizing a lot of processes and strengthening things like training and communication. It's going to be a lot of hard work, but I'm confident that we can show progress in those 10 characteristics I talked about at the beginning, and that we will be able to apply and be certified by fall is my goal. But our work doesn't end there. We really, within the next 3 years, need to add on to our program, and that's where we're really diversifying those opportunities, figuring out ways to incorporate group volunteers, short-term volunteers, youth volunteers, and expanding those skill-based opportunities. So in the end, as a service enterprise, volunteers will allow us to expand services and continue to offer help and hope to the people of Hastings. And we will be Service Enterprise certified, and here's Henry going over to Hastings Family Service to deliver help and hope.
Okay, so now that you know a little bit more about Service Enterprise, you might be wondering how this is going to affect you as a volunteer. For some of you, it might mean us asking you to be a lead volunteer and do some training and participate in some extra trainings. For some of you, it might be you're going to find a new role within the organization that's more skill-based or specific. And for everyone, hopefully it means a better volunteer experience. Our action plan is a work in progress, so please, we want your feedback, we want your opinions if there are things you would like to see, things that you think we could be doing better, that would make your volunteer experience more enjoyable. We want to know, so please give us that feedback. But I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, learn more about Service Enterprise, and of course, as always, thank you for volunteering. You guys are awesome. Have a good day.